They say life begins at 40, but no one tells you how hard it is to start over at 40. To look around and realize that everything you once built, your plans, your security, your identity, has crumbled, leaving you at a place you thought you'd never be again. Zero. Starting from zero isn't just about money, career, or success. It's about rebuilding your belief in yourself when the world has already labeled you as too late. It's about standing in front of your own reflection and saying, I may have fallen, but I'm not finished. When I lost everything, I thought I was broken. But looking back now, I realize I wasn't being punished. I was being prepared. Starting from zero taught me things success never could. It stripped away my ego, my fears, my old habits, and made room for something greater: clarity, faith, and strength. This is not a story of defeat. It's a story of rebirth, of learning that life doesn't care how old you are when you start again. It only cares that you do. Because sometimes God has to take you back to zero to rebuild you into something unshakable. So today, I want to share my real story. The lessons, the pain, the faith, and the transformation that came from beginning again at 40. Because no matter where you are or what you've lost, I want you to know you can start over, and this time, you'll rise stronger than ever. There's a moment in every person's life when the ground gives way beneath their feet. For me, that moment came when everything I'd worked for began to crumble before my eyes. Career, relationships, finances, even my sense of purpose. I had spent years building a version of success that looked strong from the outside, but was fragile within. And when it finally collapsed, I found myself staring at the wreckage, asking, how did I end up here? At first, rock bottom felt like punishment. It was dark, lonely, and humiliating. I was used to being the one people came to for help, not the one asking for it. I felt stripped of my identity, like everything that once defined me had been erased. But as the noise of my old life faded, something powerful began to emerge: silence. In that silence, I finally started to hear the truth I had been running from for years. Rock bottom is not the end. It's the point where the noise of the world stops long enough for you to actually listen to your soul. When you're stripped of everything you thought you needed, you're left with only what's real: yourself, your faith, and your will to rise again. It's where pride dies and purpose begins. The funny thing is, hitting rock bottom showed me that I had built my life on the wrong foundation. I was chasing validation instead of vision. I was working to impress instead of to express. I was existing, not living. Losing everything forced me to face myself. Without titles, without applause, without comfort. And that's when the rebuilding truly began. I realized that pain can either destroy you or develop you. The same fire that burns everything down can also forge something new if you let it. And that's what rock bottom did for me. It burned away everything that wasn't real. It stripped me down to my rawest truth and showed me what I was truly made of. So if you're there now, at your own version of rock bottom, don't mistake it for an ending. It's a divine invitation to rebuild, but this time on solid ground. It's your wake-up call, your reset button, your turning point. Because sometimes you have to lose everything you thought you needed to find everything you truly are. That was the day I stopped asking, why me? And started asking, what is this trying to teach me? And from that question, my life began again, not from success, but from surrender. When I hit rock bottom at 40, I thought the hardest part would be finding the money to start again. I believed success was something I could buy, build, or hustle my way into. But I quickly learned that the real challenge wasn't financial, it was spiritual. The rebuilding process had little to do with my bank account and everything to do with my belief system. When you've lost everything, your first instinct is to fix the outside, to chase quick solutions, new jobs, new ventures, anything that promises security. But every time I tried to rebuild from the outside in, it collapsed again. That's when I realized I didn't need more money. I needed more faith. Faith that I was still capable, that life wasn't done with me, that God hadn't forgotten me. Faith became my foundation. It wasn't blind hope or empty optimism, it was a choice. A choice to believe that even though I couldn't see the road ahead, there was still a purpose for me. Faith taught me to take small steps again, to rebuild my habits, my mindset, and my confidence. Some days I didn't know how I'd get through the next 24 hours, but I kept moving because I trusted that my steps had meaning, even if I didn't understand them yet. You see, rebuilding after a fall isn't about resources, it's about resilience. I didn't have investors, connections, or savings this time. All I had was faith, focus, and a quiet conviction that if I didn't give up, something good would come out of this. And slowly it did. Not in the way I imagined, but in a way that felt real and lasting. Faith gave me clarity. It helped me see that failure didn't destroy my purpose. It refined it. I began to view every obstacle as a test of trust. Every delay was an opportunity to grow stronger. Every rejection was redirection. What I learned through that process is that money can rebuild structures, but faith rebuilds souls. And when your soul is strong, everything else follows. Your relationships, your opportunities, your peace of mind. The truth is, I didn't need to see the whole staircase. I just needed to take the first step, and every time I did, another door opened. Faith didn't make things easy, it made them possible. So when people ask me now, how did you start over with nothing? I tell them I didn't start with nothing. I started with faith, and that was everything. When I first realized I had to start over at 40, it felt like a sentence, a punishment for every mistake. Every wrong turn, every dream that hadn't worked out. I thought I had missed my chance. Society tells us that by 40, we should have everything figured out. The career, the house, the stability, the plan. And here I was, standing in the ruins of my plan, starting again from zero. But what I didn't know then was that starting over wasn't the end of my story. It was the rewrite. It was the moment life stopped happening to me and started happening for me. Starting over at 40 stripped away everything I thought I needed and introduced me to everything I truly needed: peace, purpose, and self-awareness. For the first time, I wasn't building to impress anyone. I was building because I had finally met myself. I learned to stop rushing, to stop comparing, to stop living for approval. I learned that fulfillment doesn't come from being ahead of others. It comes from being aligned with yourself. At 40, I stopped pretending and started being. I started saying no to what drained me and yes to what healed me. I began to listen to my intuition more than opinions. I discovered that the same years I thought disqualified me were the years that actually prepared me. Every failure, every disappointment, every detour had been shaping me for this chapter. Starting over taught me that the timeline of life isn't fixed. It's flexible. The world may label you late, but purpose has no deadline. When you begin again with wisdom and gratitude, you're not starting from scratch. You're starting from experience. You're bringing all your lessons, scars, and strength into a new creation. And here's the truth. Starting over at 40 gave me something youth never could: clarity. I no longer chase everything. I choose carefully. I no longer seek attention. I seek alignment. I no longer strive to prove. I strive to be. So if you're standing at the edge of a new beginning, wondering if it's too late, hear me clearly. It's not too late. It's finally time. The world needs the version of you that's been tested, refined, and awakened. Starting from zero at 40 wasn't the end of my dream. It was the moment I woke up to a new one. And now I know. The best chapter of your life doesn't come after success. It comes after surrender. Because when everything falls apart, you don't just rebuild your life, you rediscover your soul. That's when you realize starting over wasn't a setback, it was your rebirth.